What if your home state couldn't afford to keep the lights on? As the cost of living rises and economic recovery slows, some U.S. states are teetering on the brink of financial disaster. The numbers are shocking: state debts reaching billions, taxpayers facing crushing burdens, and public services at risk of collapse. But which states are in the most trouble? Stick around to discover the 10 U.S. states most at risk of going broke in 2025. You won't believe which ones are on the list. Before we dive into the financial turmoil of these states, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Discovering the Earth, and comment below with your thoughts. Your support keeps us going and ensures you never miss critical updates like this one. Number 10. Vermont. Vermont, with its postcard-perfect rolling hills and famous maple syrup, seems like the last place you'd expect financial trouble. However, beneath its idyllic exterior lies a troubling reality: ballooning healthcare costs and shrinking revenues. In May 2024, former Governor Howard Dean raised alarms about the state's dire fiscal situation. By September, reports showed Vermont hospitals heading for bankruptcy, requiring up to $3 billion in subsidies over the next 5 years to remain solvent. The state's taxpayers are shouldering an immense burden. According to CNBC, Vermont ranks 10th among the most indebted states, with each taxpayer needing to contribute $10,900 to clear the state's deficit. This strain is further exacerbated by the rising costs of public services and healthcare, threatening Vermont's future. If these issues aren't addressed, the state could lose its rural charm and face urban exodus, leaving taxpayers and small businesses to pick up the slack. For travelers, Vermont remains a paradise, but residents might soon find the cost of living outweighing the benefits of its scenic beauty. How will Vermont tackle these challenges in the coming years? Its very survival depends on bold financial reforms. Number 9. Kentucky. Kentucky, known for its bourbon, horse racing, and bluegrass music, Kentucky has a rich cultural heritage. But behind the celebrations, the state faces a growing fiscal nightmare. CNBC reveals that Kentucky carries a taxpayer burden of $13,200, making it a sinkhole state according to financial watchdog Data Z. The numbers are stark: $42 billion in liabilities, but only $23 billion in assets, leaving a $19.5 billion deficit. This financial gap isn't just numbers, it's a threat to essential services like education, healthcare, and public safety. Rising pension obligations and insufficient revenue streams have created a perfect storm, leaving the state vulnerable to long-term economic stagnation. Without urgent reforms, Kentucky's financial hole could deepen, putting its residents in a precarious position. Kentucky's charm may attract visitors, but its residents face an uncertain future. Will the state find a way to balance its rich traditions with fiscal responsibility, or will its financial woes overshadow its heritage? Number 8. Louisiana. Louisiana, with its jazz, gumbo, and Mardi Gras celebrations, is a cultural gem. But even this vibrant state is drowning in debt. CNBC reports a taxpayer burden of $13,400. While the state struggles with issues like food insecurity, underemployment, and a crumbling infrastructure, despite its lower-than-average cost of living, Louisiana ranks among the top 10 poorest states, highlighting a troubling disconnect between affordability and prosperity. From the lingering effects of Hurricane Katrina to declining oil revenues, Louisiana's economy has been battered by both natural and economic storms. Public services are stretched thin, and residents are increasingly feeling the pinch. The state must tackle these systemic issues head-on or risk sinking further into financial despair. Visitors may flock to Louisiana for its culture, but the state's residents are left grappling with the reality of limited opportunities and struggling social services. Number 7. Delaware. Delaware, often celebrated for its business-friendly policies, is now grappling with a financial crisis. The state boasts an impressive corporate presence, but this hasn't prevented it from amassing a $6.2 billion deficit. CNBC reports that each taxpayer in Delaware faces a burden of $15,400, a figure that's raising serious concerns about the state's financial stability. The problem stems from years of overspending, particularly during the pandemic, when federal aid poured into new programs. With that aid now gone, Delaware faces a daunting task: funding these programs through dwindling state revenues. If the state doesn't rein in its spending, it risks losing its competitive edge and plunging deeper into debt. Will Delaware's reputation as a business haven be enough to pull it out of this crisis, or will its financial mismanagement overshadow its economic potential? Number 6. Hawaii. Hawaii, often seen as paradise on Earth, is grappling with a sobering reality. Behind the stunning beaches and lush landscapes lies a financial storm. CNBC reports a taxpayer burden of $16.500, with Hawaii carrying a staggering $8.9 billion deficit. Hawaii's geographical isolation plays a significant role in its economic challenges. The cost of importing goods drives up living expenses, making Hawaii the most expensive state to live in. Residents spend nearly 45% more than the national average on basic necessities. Tourism, the state's economic backbone, is highly volatile, leaving Hawaii vulnerable to global events. Despite its natural beauty, Hawaii's residents face mounting financial pressures. Will the state find a way to balance its paradise image with sustainable fiscal policies? Number 5. Connecticut. Connecticut, often recognized for its prosperous suburbs and prestigious institutions like Yale University, struggles with deep-rooted financial instability. Despite housing some of the nation's wealthiest communities, the state is grappling with an alarming taxpayer burden and mounting debt. As of recent analysis, Connecticut ranks among the highest in taxpayer debt, with each resident shouldering a burden of approximately $19,200. The state's financial woes stem largely from its $79.5 billion total debt, which includes retirement costs and unfunded liabilities. This is further exacerbated by its $45 billion in assets, leaving a glaring $42 billion deficit. The primary drivers of this crisis include skyrocketing pension liabilities and heavy reliance on property taxes, while federal pandemic funds momentarily alleviated the strain, allowing the state to address some pension debt. Such temporary solutions fail to address the broader fiscal challenges. Fees caustic as retiree benefits and debt service consume a significant portion of the budget, and their increase poses a long-term threat to the state's financial sustainability. Connecticut's financial struggles also impact its residents, contributing to higher living costs and prompting many to relocate to more affordable states. If these systemic issues remain unaddressed, the state could see further economic decline, undermining its reputation as a hub of affluence and academic excellence. Number 4. New Jersey. New Jersey, known as the Garden State, offers scenic shorelines, bustling cities, and close proximity to New York and Philadelphia. Despite these advantages, the state is grappling with one of the most troubling fiscal conditions in the nation. The root of its financial issues lies in a toxic mix of high taxes, unfunded pensions, and inadequate infrastructure funding. In 2024, CNBC reported that New Jersey residents face a taxpayer burden of $20,200, one of the highest in the United States. According to Data Z, New Jersey's liabilities amount to $222 billion, but it has only $122 billion in assets, leaving a staggering $100 billion deficit. Pension liabilities, retiree healthcare costs, and other long-term obligations make up the bulk of this debt. The financial stress is compounded by the state's notoriously high property taxes and cost of living, which have prompted businesses and residents to move to nearby states like Pennsylvania and Delaware. This outmigration not only reduces the tax base, but also places a heavier financial strain on those who remain. Without meaningful reforms to address its spending and revenue collection, New Jersey risks sinking deeper into fiscal instability, potentially undermining critical public services such as education, transportation, and healthcare. Number 3. Illinois. Illinois, the land of Lincoln, has long been synonymous with financial distress. The state is plagued by decades of pension mismanagement, overspending, and an ever-shrinking population that exacerbates its fiscal woes. Despite efforts to stabilize its economy, Illinois remains one of the most indebted states in America. In 2024, CNBC reported that Illinois residents face a taxpayer burden of $23,600, the second highest in the nation. The state's liabilities total a jaw-dropping $248 billion, but its assets are valued at just $70 billion, leaving a $178 billion shortfall. Pension systems account for a significant portion of this debt, with underfunded programs for teachers, state employees, and retirees driving the deficit higher each year. Illinois' financial troubles are further compounded by high taxes, including the nation's second-to-highest property taxes, which have led to a mass exodus of residents and businesses. The state's population decline not only reduces the tax base, but also increases the burden on remaining taxpayers. Without substantial reforms to its tax structure and pension systems, Illinois risks further economic decline and a deteriorating quality of life for its residents. Number 2. Massachusetts. Massachusetts, celebrated as a hub for innovation, education, and healthcare, struggles with an irony. Its fiscal health is among the weakest in the United States, while the state boasts economic strength with institutions like Harvard, MIT, and leading biotech firms. It is weighed down by massive debt and soaring healthcare costs. In 2024, CNBC identified Massachusetts as having the highest taxpayer burden in the country, at $24.000 per resident. Data Z reported that the state has $43.4 billion in assets but liabilities totaling $105.3 billion, leaving a deficit of $61.9 billion. Much of this debt stems from underfunded pension obligations and rising healthcare costs for public employees. The Bay State's financial challenges threaten its long-term economic growth, as high taxes and living costs make it difficult for middle-class families to thrive. Public services, including education and transportation, are at risk of cuts as the state struggles to balance its budget. Despite its reputation as a center for prosperity, Massachusetts faces an uncertain fiscal future if these systemic issues remain unresolved. Number 1. California. California, often heralded as the Golden State, epitomizes economic contradictions. While it boasts the world's fifth-largest economy and is a global leader in technology and entertainment, the state is burdened with immense financial challenges, sky-high living costs, an ongoing housing crisis, and underfunded pensions are just a few of the issues that make California the most financially troubled state in the U.S. In 2024, CNBC revealed that California's taxpayer burden is $22.000 per resident, placing it among the highest nationwide. The state's liabilities exceed $1.5 trillion, driven by unfunded pension obligations and an urgent need for infrastructure improvements. With only a fraction of its liabilities covered by assets, California faces a long-term fiscal crisis. Adding to its struggles are social challenges, including rising homelessness and a significant outmigration of residents seeking affordable alternatives in states like Texas and Nevada. This exodus weakens California's tax base, further straining public resources. Despite its immense economic output, California's inability to address these structural issues could have devastating consequences for its citizens and its position as an economic leader in the years to come. The financial struggles of these states underscore a common theme: unsustainable spending, underfunded pensions, and high taxes are driving residents and businesses away, weakening their economic foundations. While each state faces unique challenges, they all share an urgent need for reform to avoid deeper fiscal crises. For residents, these financial realities often translate into reduced public services and a higher cost of living, making it crucial to stay informed and proactive about future decisions. As we continue to monitor the fiscal health of states across the U.S., the hope is that policymakers will take decisive steps to address these pressing issues before they spiral further out of control.